read this fucking paragraph of a tagline. Ellie is 12 years old. She's been 12 for over 200 years. And she just moved in next door. Welcome back, you suffer.
I mean, okay.
that's
fair.
Accurate.
Yeah.
This is episode 295 of I Hope You Suffer. I did not look at anyone's names and can't pronounce half of these, so I am Jock with an E.
Yeah, that was the only name that I remember, so I'm also Jock.
I am Ghosta's 12 CGI cats.
Holy shit, I don't know what this... I'm guessing this is a job title. SJUKHUSRECEPTIONIST. Social receptionist.
Oh,
sure.
It's probably like the hospital.
Katie, you learned in Swedish?
Yeah.
Is this Swedish? I forget if this is Swedish or Finn.
Yes,
yeah.
It's Swedish.
We are talking about 2008's Let the Right One In. Låt den rätta komma in.
Yep.
Amen.
Nailed it.
I'm gonna do this entire episode.
Everything's Swedish.
All right, sounds good.
The movie's a banger.
So good.
Kid, had you seen this before? I forget.
Yep. Right. When it first came out in 2008, and then not since.
I bought it because unsurprisingly, this was not playing near me in Dayton, Ohio when it came out.
I'm shocked.
But I remember reading about it online, so when it first hit DVD, I just blind bought it and was very shocked how good it was.
And I remember it was getting a lot of praise and a lot of word of mouth, and it was on Netflix back when Netflix had good movies and
yeah.
was worth paying for.
Was this? Yeah, this was right around the time as Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I think. Because I remember watching that around the same time. Yeah, that was 2009, so it would probably have been relatively close from when I first watched Let the Right One In. Very good. Katie, why'd you pick this movie?
So I didn't see this movie until probably 2013-ish. And that's kind of that must have been around the time that it either became on streaming again or something, because I remember seeing the title and I was like, what could this even be about? I went in blind when I watched it. I had no idea what it was about, and honestly, going in with that experience was literally amazing, because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know, spoilers, I didn't even know it was about vampires at all. I had absolutely no idea.
You think it was about Morrissey, since the title's based on a Morrissey song? Definitely.
I thought it was a biopic. Which
kind of
essentially
is.
It was.
I feel like Oscar could be Morrissey.
So yeah, so I went in totally blind and was just so mind blown away. I feel like at this point the ending of the movie is all over the place. People usually know the ending or know the scene without even having seen the movie at this point. But watching it just for the first time and literally with no context, it literally is. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not only because of that experience, but just because the movie itself is really good. The way that it's shot, it's atmospheric. The location is beautiful.
Oh my god, the cinematography in it, shot composition with some of the buildings is incredible.
Everything's snowy, so it's most of the movie has this really, really drab appearance, except for They pronounce the name Ely. I'm going to say Eli because I know some of the context from reading the book about this character, except for when Eli shows up, and that's when obviously you get like the bright red of the blood or whatever. And so like the contrast of it just makes it just like so beautiful to watch. And then again, the ending pool scene, literally my jaw dropped when I saw it because you don't.
It's so well done.
It.
Even like
you don't
not like
it.
Like outside of just like the context of the scene, like the way it's shot is fucking incredible.
It's so cool.
Like that was the thing. Like I remember watching it for the first time, and this was probably one of the first like like horror style, like like aggressive vampire movies I had seen.
Yeah.
And like, so like like taking it in the first time, I was like, okay, this is like really good, but like not at all what I expected. And then you get to that pool scene, and you're like, holy shit, this is fucking incredible.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about this so much too is that I will admit, like I had said, I was on the fence about picking it because it was so long. It's almost 2 hours long. And so it is a little bit of a slow burn, but because it's done in a way that is like kind of more like a slice of life. It's just like this boy, this main character, Oscar, just like living his normal life. And then there's just like a vampire happenstance. And so it is kind of like slow because they're showing like him basically just like living his life and then having this like other element in it that's like otherworldly or whatever. It's
interesting that like we're doing this after Titan because I see like it feels sort of the same where it's like as opposed they're not straight up a horror movie, they're a lot more of like a character drama that just has like horror elements in it as opposed to like I don't know, like 30 Days of Night or something.
Right. It's not an action movie by any means.
Like I know, Kid, I think you've seen A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, right?
Yeah.
Katie, have you watched that yet?
No.
You should. You would probably...
I was thinking watching this that they would be a good double header.
I think like they're probably my two favorite like vampire movies. And neither of them are very, like, vampiric.
Traditional, yeah.
They're mostly just, like, you follow, like... Like, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night could just be, like, the adult... Not, not, like, sex adult version, but, like, just the adult character versions of, like, this movie. Because it's just, as opposed to kids, it's just, like, this dude and then, like, the vampire and just, like, hanging out. You can see a vampire skateboarding, which is also very cool.
Okay, immediately I'm in. Yeah, I had it on my watch list for a while, but then whatever I had it on, like I don't have access to anymore, so I just never got around to it. But it's been on my list for like ever.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that I think just like pops around streaming stuff. I don't know if it's on anything right now because I literally like Kit said I was watching. It's on Hoopla right now if you want to watch it. I was like I kind of want to double feature this and then just like had to deal with all the fucking plumbing and shit. People coming to my house. Did you get time to watch the remake?
So no, I literally was just gonna say yeah. I was planning on watching the remake, but then a cat had kittens on my porch, and I've literally just been obsessed with the kittens and like watching the kittens or whatever. So I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, cat mom.
I totally forgot. Yeah, you know how it is. I totally forgot that I was even going to do it until I sat down to rewatch this today, and then I was like, oh shit. So no, I did not. Actually meant to look up if it's streaming, but
I haven't seen it since it first came out, and I remember being like, this is fine, but Matt Reeves directed it, and I loved the Batman, so I kind of want to revisit it.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Batman is in it at all, and I just don't remember.
Yeah, definitely. It's that movie is actually a retelling of Let the Right One In, but with Man-Bat. So
it just takes place in Gotham.
Yeah, I low-key would love that so much.
I remember like Chloe Grace Moretz being pretty good in it, but that's about all I remember from it.
Does she play the vampire?
Yeah.
Or
yep.
Okay.
And like from what I remember, at least, it's a pretty just like straightforward, like just retelling, just in English, so American audiences will fucking watch it.
Yeah. Interesting.
And it's got Richard Jenkins, and he makes everything better.
I'm actually looking at the cast, and I recognize a lot of these people.
Honestly, we should do like a month at some point of just like what we consider to be decent remakes, horror remakes, and just cover that. Give me an excuse to rewatch it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do your soda talk?
Oh yeah. Okay, so I totally forgot. It's hard. I don't know how I did because it's a neon. It's like a very neon color. I got Mountain Dew Baja Laguna Lemonade. And it's just, so I was really confused because at first when I went, or was it last year that they came out with the Baja Blast other flavors, or was it the year before?
I don't know.
I remember.
Time means nothing.
Yeah.
I know. And I remember one of the, and so I saw Baja Blast, not Baja Blast, just Baja, like fruit punch or something, and I was like, I really couldn't tell at this point. There's been so many flavors that I was like, I can't tell if I've had this or not. And so I tried to Google it, and there's apparently also like a spicy mango one, which I could not find. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I haven't had that. I definitely know I haven't had Laguna Lemonade. It is neon orange, as Baja is wont to do with their flavors.
Shouldn't it be yellow for lemonade?
It's an orange lemon.
It's mango lemonade, so it's like orange the way that mango is.
Sure.
But I'm afraid it's gonna be really sweet.
Well, yeah, they all are. Good. That's the problem.
Okay, this is really good.
Is it good in the sense that like you can drink a whole bottle, or is it good in like 3 sips from now you're like, I can't drink any more of this?
So my problem with ever saying I can drink a whole bottle is that normally I can't because I can't tolerate sweet drinks anymore. The flavor of this is really good. It's very mango heavy, so if you like mango, you'll like it, which I do, but it tastes like natural mango, not artificial. It's not, I don't really know that it is kind of tangy like lemonade. I think this is really good.
Interesting. Next week, I'll do vegan spam talk.
Yeah.
Eat the vegan spam I found.
To know about that, yeah.
It's always sad when a soda talk is good. You know?
I feel like I have yet to have one that was actually good, except for maybe the Dr. Strawberry and Cream Dr. Pepper. I can't remember if I did that on here, but that was pretty good.
I think, though, like, for most of the Mountain Dews, aside from the fucking fruitcake one, they've all been, like, fine. You know? I think that the fruitcake one was the worst. And then some of the Coke ones, like the Coke Spiced or whatever.
All of the Coke
just
ones
not my favorite.
Terrible.
Well...
They had that fucking... space one.
I liked
Pixel.
the space one.
Yeah, fucking.
I did not try Pixel.
They're all bad.
I liked the space one. Back in the day, I know that they still make this, but I do not drink Pepsi really and at all. And they had like a mango Pepsi, which I remember liking. I liked it at the time.
All of them, I really feel like
mango.
They all have like terrible aftertaste to me. That I'm like. At first, I'm like, this is okay, and then the aftertaste hits, and I'm like, this is hot garbage.
Yeah. I would recommend this one. It's kind of like I said, it is very sweet, but it's lemonade. The mango flavor is like very natural tasting. The aftertaste to me is good. It's just very sweet.
Every soda...
It kind of reminds me of like a creamsicle kind of, but mango.
Every
if that
soda
makes sense.
Should just be Surge.
Yeah. I was a Surge girl. I really like Surge. I'd probably throw up now if I tried to drink one, but
it came back for like a brief minute, like a couple years, like not a couple, maybe like 10 years ago.
It did, and I feel like people though had to like buy it by the case online, and it
Oh,
was like expensive or
I've
something.
found cans of it, and I remember drinking it and been like, "This is very good." But
Ugh,
we've
I can't even imagine.
where we've been watching Survivor. We're on like season 3 of Survivor, and it's so funny because almost every award, because I'm guessing it's sponsored by Mountain Dew,
It's
it's
gotta
just
be.
like them in like the fucking middle of nowhere in Africa, and like they're like, I haven't had clean water for 4 days. Like I haven't had anything to eat except for like cornmeal in a week, and it'll be like a challenge. Is like, here's a fucking unlimited supply of Mountain Dew, and I'm like, these people have to be fucking having the worst stomach aches after like not really having food for 2 weeks or like a substantial amount of water, and they're just like, here's fucking a 12 pack of Mountain Dew and some Doritos.
Listen, I'm down. No. Yeah, here is 70,000 grams of
It's
sugar.
so funny because
Delicious.
you'll see them and they'll fucking like chug down a can of Mountain Dew and then immediately be like, my stomach hurts. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
There's almost nothing worse to me than imagining being like dehydrated and extremely hot and then having to chug a Mountain Dew.
And your fucking reward is like a can of Mountain Dew and a fucking plate of
Yeah.
mashed potatoes or some shit. Honestly, that
Ugh,
sounds
I would
very good right now, but I'm also not in like the Serengeti.
no. You would literally never catch me anywhere near Survivor.
Oh
I'm
my
not
god, that's what like every time,
delusional enough to think that I could ever survive.
anytime, like immediately one of them will show like their legs after being there a week and they're just covered in mosquito bites, and I'm like, no, the
Oh
first
yeah,
bug that
no.
bit me, I'd be like, I quit, goodbye, fuck $1 million.
See ya. They're like, here's your chickens that you have to kill and eat. And I'd be like, I guess I'm not
Yeah, there's
doing
a
that.
lady in the first
Thank you,
season
though.
that's like, I think it's the first or second season, I forget which one, that was like vegetarian and was like losing it at the fact that like they won like chickens they were gonna kill.
Yeah, not for
Oh, I
the,
remember that.
yeah. I,
I could,
I never,
I would, the minute a fucking lion showed up at the camp, I'd be like, I quit, goodbye, no thank you.
so that's my
Yeah.
question. I've literally only watched episodes that like when my sister-in-law would watch it, I would like watch it, like I've never watched it by myself. And like that's my question about like if they're going to an island, I feel like it's whatever, but like
Oh yeah,
does that happen?
Africa, there's fucking like lions and like water buffalo and like elephants and zebras and shit just like roaming around like 80 feet from their camp like all the time, and like tigers, or not tigers, like lions will just be like scoping them out in the middle of the night, and they're just like, well, this sucks.
Yeah, no thank you. Well, that's insane to me.
Because like I think the second season was Australia, and there's just be like kangaroos showing up and
Yeah,
like
no,
wild pigs and shit.
really hard no for
I
Australia.
I had to look up like, because I was like, there's no way they've done 40 something seasons of this show and somebody hasn't died. And
Yeah.
apparently the US version, like, no one's died. There's been some like severe injuries, like the second season a dude falls into a fire
Yeah,
and like
I've
gets
seen
like
that.
3rd-degree burns on his hands or some shit. And then but
Yeah.
apparently like the like UK or whatever other countries do Survivor, there's been people that have just like had heart attacks and died like wherever they're at. But I was like, there's
But
no. I was like,
no animal
I
attacks?
guess I don't know how that's possible, but
They've got to have some kind of like I know the whole point is that they're put out there to survive, but if there's like
oh yeah,
staff
I mean
and
there's
things,
there's
they've got to
medical,
have security of some sort
there's
too.
because like when the guy falls in the fire or whatever, like a helicopter shows up and there's like a medic tent and
Yeah.
shit for, because I mean you gotta figure like it's not like the host and the camera guys are not like
Well, yeah,
they're kind of out
exactly.
there too, but they have like good setups and shit.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe they have some kind of like
I mean, they have like
animal
fucking
control.
internet and like the Australian one out in the fucking middle of the outback. Like
Perfect.
they're not like one of the
They're not.
rewards is like they all get to fucking like aim chat with like family at some point. And I was like, how the fuck do they have internet in like 2001 in the middle of the fucking outback? But I don't know. It's very strange. I was amazed when I looked up that nobody has died in the at least the
Yeah.
American one. That's that's a fucking good record, I guess.
Seriously,
it's a fucking weird show.
Yeah, that also very much poised as like a family show. Like my husband and like his whole family grew up. They would like watch the new episode together, which seems like such a weird premise.
I literally the only episode I'd ever seen until we started watching it is I went to visit Cece for a week when the finale of the first season aired. And I didn't remember much of it, but then when we watched the first season, I was like, wow, everybody on this show is like wildly homophobic. Because the guy that wins it was like an openly gay man that would like walk around nude and stuff. And then even into like season 3, there was some old guy on there that was just like, it's like, I'm in this camp with all these women and this queer. And I was like, holy shit. And then those people always end up being like fan favorites. And I'm like, God, I hate everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Brutal.
Well,
I love reality TV. It's the only good thing in the world.
When I was when we were at the gym last, it was that Naked and Afraid, or maybe it's not Naked and Afraid, but it was a naked one, and I was like, what even?
There's a show that like I don't think I've ever stumbled across streaming for free that Lindsay always tells me to watch, called like Naked and Dating or something like that, where people go on first dates in the nude.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I gotta see this show, and I have yet to like come across it.
I think it's like the spinoff for Naked and Afraid, where it's just like you have to survive, but also you're like trying to date this person while you're naked.
That rocks. What a good idea.
Having to like kill snakes to eat.
They should do Ghost Adventures, but naked.
Ugh. Well, while
Zach Baggins could wear his air mask.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, yeah, they should, but I don't want to be involved in that at all. If you're asking me.
Every reality show from going forward should everybody has to be nude.
That
just makes sense. It makes the most sense.
Seems the worst. That seems like the
Osbournes.
Worst
if Ozzy was naked,
oh my god,
that'd be a way better show.
The only person
I do not agree
that could continue to wear clothes is Alan Cumming on The Traitors, because he's got incredible outfits. Everyone else has to be nude.
Fantastic kilts.
All right, let's.
You can come on our show, but either you wear a kilt or you're naked. Those are the options.
Yeah.
We don't know.
The one that we
all like. Were you talking about our show or reality shows? Because I'm just saying, if that's the new rule going forward for guests.
Okay, we're camera on from now on.
Yeah, you have to prove you're either naked or wearing a kilt.
Listen, no, thank you.
Shane, you're good. Getting called out as the next guest.
I was gonna say Shane seems like
Shane would wear a kilt.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Shane's definitely a kilt guy.
I can't explain it, but Shane seems like he has access to kilts. So
Shane, come on for Braveheart.
Okay. What? Okay. Let's
talk about Survivor. That's what we're this episode.
Let's talk
about
actually. Yeah, okay. So before we start, like I said, this movie is 2 hours long. My notes are actually not really that extensive again, because
I mean, a lot of the movie is like characters interacting as opposed to like plot shit. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, what are you doing?
Well, I was gonna say I highly recommend just go watch it.
Yeah, it's on a bunch of shit for free right now. It's on like Tubi and Prime and maybe Pluto. It's on a bunch of stuff. You can watch it for free very easily.
Definitely, very good. Although I did want to mention, I hate Tubi's rebranding. What even is going on with that?
I haven't logged into it since I saw the logo change. So I honestly like outside of like when Caitlin and I have like TV on, I've been mostly just watching physical media. I haven't been streaming a lot of things other than
and you know what?
Podcast.
I have this on DVD. I should have just watched the DVD, but it's like at this point easier for me to just like stream it if it's streaming, even though I had to sit through ads or whatever. But yeah, I don't like the new Tubi thing. Even though it's like, I don't know, there's just something so weird about it. It's very strange.
Did we talk about I don't know if I don't think we talked about an episode. I can't remember if we talked about in our group chat about apparently them like had requesting edited versions of movies or some shit.
Yeah. I don't know which one specifically, but there's at least been a handful where some of the more egregious, like gore, nudity scenes are edited out. I think Full Moon has been on the end of a lot of it.
It's so weird because Full Moon is also like, it's just boobs and like their gore is pretty bad most of the time. It's not like really like egregious.
It's like the least offensive of the offensive stuff.
I feel like, who gives a shit? Like, I feel like the thing that really bolsters Tubi up is like horror people, and like doing that is just going to like kill their platform.
So dumb.
But
yeah.
I haven't logged into Tubi other than maybe if we've done like something that was on there for the podcast in a while. So I don't know if like I haven't stumbled across anything that seems edited at least, and I watch a lot of Full Moon shit on there when I do. If I'm ever like on Tubi and I'm like, I'm having option paralysis, I'll just go to the Full Moon channel and put on something really stupid like Head of the Family. Watch that. So
yeah, I do this thing where I'll like go on Tubi and make like a playlist and then never watch my playlist. So
oh yeah, I add stuff to my watch list on there all the time and then literally never go and look at it when I'm like looking for something to watch.
Yeah, I guess I do go through like streaming phases though where like I'll only watch Hulu or I'll only watch Tubi or like whatever, and I'm way off Tubi right now.
I fucking wish one of these platforms would like introduce an actual playlist setting where you can add stuff and then it'll just play in order as a like, that would be fucking awesome if your watch list played like that on like Tubi as opposed to just, you know, you're watching Say Let the Right One In and then all of a sudden it's just like, here's some fucking garbage 2023 horror movie. Here's fucking Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
They should have a shuffle button. Like all of the movies that it recommends you just hit shuffle and it like randomly
Netflix
plays terrible movies for you.
Netflix maybe still has. I know they tried a shuffle thing for like TV shows. That would like just shuffle through like, I think, you know, like if you watch The Office, it would shuffle through like The Office and maybe Parks and Rec or something like that. Or maybe it was just like a random button that would just play a random thing as opposed like if you couldn't figure out, I forget what it was, but like
I do remember a random thing.
I would be way into like something like that for like Tubi where even if it was literally just like, hey,
pick your genre and hit the random button.
Here's like I have 80 movies in my watch list. Just play one of them at random.
Right. Or like based off of things you've liked or something.
Because I feel like Tubi constantly goes into the worst shit after what you've just watched.
Yeah.
It'd be like, I'm watching Suspiria. Here's like the Carrie remake. And I'm like, no.
I watched Joe's Apartment and then it hit me with Biodome and The Pest back to back.
Mine doesn't do that.
I can't say no to that.
That's
a pretty
perfect,
good
though.
happenstance.
I know.
Mine is literally always like the absolute opposite or like worst thing I could imagine.
Yes, mine too.
And I'm always not like, good. I don't want to watch, you know, like whatever fucking
Vampire
shitty
Bikers.
CGI fucking poster artwork garbage from 2023 you're trying to make me watch after like something good.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what happens to me also.
Tubi, hire me. I will fix your platform.
I also logged in today and then like I logged into it and then I had to walk away for a minute and it started auto playing like whatever their new like Tubi original movie was, and I was like, excuse me.
That's like my biggest pet peeve with every fucking streaming site is how if you like linger on something for 2 seconds it just starts playing it, and I'm like, fucking stop. Like, just let me read what this shit's about.
You don't have to do this.
Netflix is so bad about it that like other than when I Think You Should Leave comes out, I don't ever log into Netflix because it's just impossible to scroll through without like glitching out the app by auto-playing every goddamn thing you look at. Streaming's bad. Annoying. Everybody fucking stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the end. Goodbye. I hope you suffer
right.
away.
Yep, that's the end of the episode.
See ya.
Now that we've done 30 minutes complaining about streaming and
Again.
soda.
Streaming and soda and Survivor for some reason.
Well, because Survivor's good.
Well,
I mean,
teach their...
it's pretty bad so far, but also totally watchable because everybody on it is the worst.
Yeah. Okay, so Let the Right One In. 2008. Very good. Basically, very good. Go watch it. It starts with our main character, Oscar, who is a 12-year-old boy. At night, a family that consists of like an adult and a child move into the apartment next to him, and he is practicing essentially being threatening with a knife at himself in a window.
Hell yeah.
All been there.
Just in whitey tighties, so he is.
That's how you look fucking tough. It's tidy whities.
Yeah.
You know it. All of 50 pounds, blonde boy. Honestly, very scary if you ask me. Children are frightening.
White kids with knives.
Yeah.
Very scary.
I agree.
They've definitely killed like 9 rats and like maybe a cat or household dog.
Yeah, do not like. We also see, oh man, you know what? And I don't think anybody, I meant to look up how to say this guy's name. I don't think anybody says his name in the movie, but I'm going to say his name is Hakan. Don't know. He is.
Yeah. Baron Vladimir.
Baron. Yes, you got it. We see him putting things up to block out the windows, and we're kind of like, what's going on with that? That's weird. Meanwhile, a lot of these like nighttime scenes are stitched together with daytime scenes of Oscar going to school and getting bullied by just the most Swedish looking child you've ever seen.
Which is saying something, because Oscar himself is incredibly Swedish.
But like, he is what you would think of as like a Swedish bully. So, and like the dynamic here is weird because it's like this main child who they call Connie has these like 2 kind of like bully lackeys or whatever that like don't really want to be bullying Oscar, but they like don't really want Connie to turn on him. So there's a lot of like, there's just like a lot going on with Oscar.
He pays them in Swedish fish and they can't say no.
I mean, they're just fish there.
I freaking love
That's true.
Swedish fish.
Swedish fish is just a fish to a Swede.
That's true.
All the fish there are bright red. People don't know
delicious. And delicious. So yeah, we see Oscar getting bullied at school for like really we don't know why, what's going on. The bully likes to call him a piggy. He doesn't look like a piggy.
Despite being the smallest child anyone has ever seen.
Yeah, and he just a very normal looking child. And I have to say, like, the person who plays Oscar is only in one other movie. I think he's pretty good for a child. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say him
in this movie.
Him and Ellie are both like pretty good, and like both of them have like no credits.
Yeah,
I don't know if like this is another scenario of like they got like bullied and quit or what, but like I would especially I feel like Ellie could have had like a pretty good career. Like, she's great in this, and she's only got like 2 or 3 credits.
So yeah, poor Oscar is being bullied at school. Harkonnen
Baron Harkonnen coming out of the
mud. Is putting together essentially what we find out is a kill kit. And he goes out into the park at night and basically is just like waiting for some unlucky passerby. And again, at this point, if you don't know anything about the plot, you're like, what the fuck is going on with this? It's more.
Did you say you read the book?
I did.
Is there any?
It's been a very long time though.
I was just wondering if there was any like backstory to like him and Ellie's relationship. or if it's just like the movie where they're just kind of like, you just kind of, I guess, put together that he's, you know, her fucking, what's that character that Tom Waits plays?
Renfield.
Yeah, Renfield.
Yeah. I actually, after rewatching this, I want to reread the book because it's been easily 12 years, so I don't really remember, to be honest with you. Yeah. The only thing that I remember is the backstory behind Ely, quote unquote.
Well, yeah, they sort of tease that a little bit in the, because I know that, like, you know, the whole thing about, like, I guess spoilers if you haven't watched this and you want to, that, like, technically she was a boy that was castrated before being turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
Because I know there's, like, a thing where, like, I guess I did not pick up on it, but one of the trivia things I read is that, like, the director put her in, like, trans flag colors a lot in the movie. But, like, so much of the stuff in the movie outside of the blood is, like, a muted color that it's, like, I'd never noticed.
That's kind of what I was getting, like, towards when I was talking about it before, and then we got sidetracked with something. There's specifically this one sweater that they wear, and first of all, I want the sweater because it's very cute, but that's the only color in, like, the entire movie until the very end besides blood. So it, like, stood out to me a little bit more. And obviously, like, when you first watch this, like, especially now, and that's why also I felt like this was a really interesting for me to pick this, because I didn't really think about that aspect of it until I was, like, reflecting on what we were talking about in Titan, that I was like, oh, interesting to, like, have this be the episode after.
I forgot all about that aspect of it until I was watching it today.
Because,
like I said, I probably haven't watched it in, like,
yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched it at least in as long as Letterboxd has been around. So
right. And I feel like, obviously, like, yeah, I don't know. So I'd be interested to hear kind of other people's thoughts about it. But anyways, because of those reasons, I did refer to Eli or whatever as they, which I will go forward doing.
I can't remember. Like, I need to write. I looked, like, also when I got done, I'd like to see if, like, Hoopla had, like, the audiobook version of it, because, like, I really wanted to, like, I've never, like, read the book, and so I was, like, I am curious if, like, how much the book kind of goes into that aspect of the story.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to reread it also, because, like, the book is kind of more told, like, the book, the story really is about Oscar, right? And, like, him navigating through life or whatever, and, like, his friendships. And the book is a lot more skewed towards his perception. So the whole thing with Ellie being, it's, I don't know, I go back and forth on how I want to pronounce it, because it's Elias is the full name, so Ellie. Ely is how they say it, whatever. Either way, the whole thing with them being, you know, when Oscar's like, oh, do you want to go steady, and they're really, like, concerned with Oscar having this, like, view of them being a girl and being like, would you still like me if I wasn't? So in the book,
I think it's an interesting way they do it in the movie, though, because, like, you get, like, sort of the reveal when he, like, peeps on her when she's, like, changing, but, like, and it's played a lot in the movie, like, as what you're supposed to think is, like, well, like, you know, it's not a girl, it's a vampire or whatever, until you sort of, and, like, I don't know, I kind of like that the movie leaves it sort of vague without, like, you know, hammering it into, like, your head of what's going on, because, again, like, I talked about, like, I don't need shit, like, spelled out for me, like, a bunch of people seem to do. So I kind of like that, like, aspect that it's just, like, they basically, like, lay the seeds for it and just sort of, like, leave it a little bit up to whatever you want to decide the backstory is.
Right, and that's the aspect that I do like about the movie because because it's like it's not as big of a thing. In the book it is a little bit more, because you are reading Oscar refer to them as she, because that's what Oscar's thinking, right? Because it's like from his viewpoint. Probably only because of like the long hair and like the colorful outfit, I guess, which is like kind of not typical of if you look at what all the other kids like around Oscar is wearing. So it's just like his impression that that's what it is. And obviously when you're not reading it, you're just like watching it, it's toned down a little bit more.
Also, shout out Oscar for being like, yeah, I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. Yeah. I mean,
surprising for 2008.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
A child in 2008.
I can't remember if that like is a part of the remake or not. So.
I don't really remember.
Yeah, like I said, like I don't remember a whole lot of the remake other than like just being like, yeah, that was fine.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I will watch it, and I'm gonna reread the book because I remember really liking it. Also. Yeah, there's a lot more.
I gotta find the audiobook version of it because I'm definitely not reading it, but I'll listen to it at work.
Sure. Okay, so we see we see the kill kit. He walks into the park and they're just kind of like standing around, waiting for somebody to come and kill. This guy walks up and he's like, "Oh, excuse me, do you have the time?" And he's like, "No." And then the guy's like, "What are you holding?" And he's essentially just like
chloroform.
I don't know what he said. Yeah, like essentially he says chloroform and just like casually puts the chloroform over the guy's face. And I was like, "Sir, you know what?" he was like, "You know what? This is fine."
This dude
I'm ready to go.
Kind of rocks as like an actor because he's like. He does such a good job of being like really like creepy and antisocial feeling while also like I don't know, feeling like psychotic. He's got like a real weird energy to him as like Ellie's caregiver or whatever.
Yeah, and yeah.
The minute I found out somebody went missing or died and was like drained of all their blood, I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was that fucking guy."
Yeah, it's gotta be that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, the one guy...
he's constantly hanging out under that one bridge.
Yeah, Locke or whoever, like, he pretty much does. As soon as they're like, "Oh, our friend has died," he's like, "I fucking know. Like, let me get there."
That guy moved in and immediately cardboarded up his windows. He is a murderer.
Right? Like, seriously. Okay, so he gasses that passerby really casually. The passerby says, "You know what? R.I.P. I'm done." And
I'm tired of all this fucking snow. I'm good.
Like, seriously. Then he hoists him up by the ankles so that he can cut his throat and drain blood for, Eli to drink. But is interrupted because, like, let me remind you, they're just in the middle of a park. Like, he is right on a path. And he is interrupted by these people who are walking a poodle because the poodle walks up and is like, "What's up? What's going on over here?"
He's definitely not good at this. There's definitely a reason they seem like they have to leave town after like 3 days. Yeah. He's just like, "Oh, you see all these streetlights? I should probably do my murder right here."
Right there. And not only that, when the people start asking after the dog, like, "Oh, where's the dog?" or whatever, he runs away, leaves the jug of blood that he's collected. So, great. Oscar, like, while that's happening, Oscar goes outside and is mean to a tree, essentially.
Anti-nature.
Very Swedish.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's stabbing into a tree with his knife. Eli comes out.
I kind of see why he's getting bullied.
Well,
if I saw that, I would be like, "I'm giving that kid a wedgie tomorrow."
What if all the bullies are actually just like environmentalists?
Yeah, they're like, "Leave the fucking trees alone."
Listen, you punk. We're trying to save the species of tree, and you keep going around stabbing it, telling it to squeal like a pig.
We should remake this movie from like Connie's perspective or whatever that kid's name is, and it's just that he's like actually like works for Greenpeace.
Yeah. Stabbing a tree, telling it to squeal. Very scary. And I do think it's like an interesting because normally when you're watching, like when there's a story about like a young boy being bullied, it is kind of like you're like, oh, this poor kid, he's done nothing wrong. Oscar is like a little bit of a psychopath. Like he is obviously has like pent up aggression from being bullied constantly. His parents don't really give a shit about him. There's like no grown-ups around pretty much ever, like paying attention to anything that the children are doing. Even though there's people like at one point there's a news report of like a small boy being killed along with like all of these other people who are dying. And he's like, I'm going to go outside and play. And she's just like, whatever. Like, so like, obviously there is a lot of shit going on with him, but I remember in the book also there being like way more, like obviously elaborating on his thoughts a little more and being like, this kid is fucking scary, even though he's not the bully. But I mean, that's, you know, it is what it is. Eli is there, it's just kind of like appears and is just like, hey, I'm your new neighbor, but just so you know, we can't be friends.
That's how I introduce myself to people.
Like pretty much. And again, Twilight vibes from this, where Edward keeps like flirting with Bella, and then he's just like, we can't be friends. And she's like, well, you're the one that talked to me. And he was like, well, I said we shouldn't be friends, not that I didn't want to be friends. And that's like essentially what's happening here, because obviously Eli is like, I don't want you, like, doesn't want Oscar to be hurt, right? He's just a little boy comparatively. So I mean, we can't be friends.
She also has the skin of a killer, so.
True. And so they walk away, and then Oscar is just like, who says I want to be your friend anyway? Oscar so desperately wants to be their friend, though, like more than anything, is like entranced by this, same. This situation.
The minute I felt like I knew somebody was a vampire, I'm like, we're best friends now.
Here we go.
Sorry, yeah. Katie.
I was gonna say, you know what, and I'm here for it. I support that. Hakan. I should have looked it up. I feel
just pronounce it different every time.
Yeah.
I will, actually.
Then you're bound to be right.
No one will ever know what's going on here. Returns without the jug of blood, doesn't have any blood at all, and Eli's essentially like yelling at him like, you're supposed to be taking care of me, like, should I go out there and do it myself? And in my mind, I'm like, why not? You're the vampire, like, go figure it out. Like, obviously they think that he, as an adult, is more able to get the blood that they need without causing suspicion. But as we've already discussed,
I think that's backwards.
He's very bad at it. And I agree, because, so, like...
it's like you see a child slinking around like that, like, it's just a child getting up to mischief, who gives a shit? But, like, an older man doing that, it's like...
Excuse me,
immediately sir. Alarms going off, like, alright, well, this is some fucking weirdo over here.
Because also, like, to further your point, the, Eli goes out and, like, attacks and kills the guy that's, like, a part of the friend group, and Ghosta or whoever, the guy who has all the cats, sees it, but because he sees that it was a child, is like, that was really weird. I don't think I should tell anybody, because he was like freaked out and like not sure that's what he saw. And so I don't know, like, yeah, I feel like maybe you should be going it alone.
Can we talk about how Katie is turning into this dude with all the cats?
Listen, this was not my fault, okay?
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, that's Katie in like 5 years.
I was like, I don't remember all these cats here. Listen.
The fucking one flaw in this movie is the CGI cats attacking the lady towards like the end of the movie or whatever, and I was like, these cats look like shit.
And I don't remember them being CG, but in hindsight, I'm like,
yeah, I didn't either.
I'm fine with it, because she's like throwing cats into walls.
I mean,
and,
fair.
Like,
I don't expect them to do like real cats, but I was like, there's one that like jumps at her that I was like, this looks terrible. And I mean, I assume it's just that it was 2008 and this wasn't like,
oh yeah, sure,
you know, this is probably like a lower budget movie in comparison to a lot of movies, but I was like, that does not age well.
No, Yeah, it was like kind of startlingly bad. Especially because the first time you see him in his apartment, they're all real cats. So you're like, oh, these cats. And then when What's-Her-Face shows up, they're just all CG now. And I was like, huh?
Maybe she did something to the cats.
Yeah, like by being a vampire, she just upset
turns them into CG.
They're anti-vampire. Yeah. All cats are.
Yeah. Well, fair.
Not fair. Vampires are cool.
Yeah. So are cats, though. Cats are like...
Most of the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, meanwhile, there is a news report about somebody having killed a child, like I kind of just said. And at home, Oscar's listening to the news report and has a folder of newspaper clippings of murders, which include photos of murder weapons and shit.
Not
and I was like, this is not good. This is bad.
This is why he gets bullied, I'm telling you. It all makes sense. Stabbing trees, got a weird true crime obsession.
Murderabilia, yeah. I'm like, he's going down a bad path, so to speak. And so later he goes back outside with the Rubik's Cube, like hoping Eli's gonna come, and they do. And you can pretty much, like, this is interesting to me because like, usually, and this is like one of the, I like that this version, this like take on vampires, because normally you're seeing like vampires be like, I don't know, like rich, wearing expensive clothes, and they're like all sexy and doing whatever. And here's like this child that is clearly not cared for in any way, like dirty hair, the clothes are dirty, they're dirty. Oscar makes a comment about them smelling weird or whatever because they're like not bathing, because like this guy who is the caretaker is like can't even do the bare minimum of like getting them something to eat, like can't take care of them as a child. And then when Oscar finally goes into their apartment, there's like nothing in the apartment.
Well, like, yeah, they just moved in like 3 days ago.
But they're sleeping on like a blanket on the floor and shit, and like it's just like, I don't know, just like a further step of like the adults just like not giving a shit at all. So
do you think this is a scenario of like take care of me and I promise I'll turn you, or is this like I need to know how this guy got wrapped up into this. That's like the most the thing I want to know the most in this movie.
Yeah, I'm not like, I'll have to reread it and see if they mention it, but I know that in like a lot of vampire lore there is a thing around like when children vampires can exist, there is like a thing around adults just like naturally being really, really drawn to protecting them or helping them or whatever. So I don't know if like that's the situation here, or I mean maybe they were gonna turn them, like I don't really know.
I'm just curious because I feel like there's like, you know, like the different versions of like vampire helpers and like like media or whatever, and it's a lot of the times it's like, well, they said if I'm like I help, like kind of in like What We Do in the Shadows, where Guillermo's like, you know, promised he'll be turned if he's like their helper for however long amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I assume this guy's just a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, I agree with that also.
Like, I like bad, like killing people terribly.
Yeah. He's really not great at it. And like, in fact, we really only actually see him kill one person, and he doesn't even take the blood from them. So, not great. So they're in the courtyard. Oscar has a Rubik's Cube. I don't know.
That's how they say it in Swedish.
A Rubik's Cube. And gives it to Eli to play with, and basically is like one of the other aspects of this immediately is that Oscar is like completely bundled up because it is, of course, snowing and cold.
She's like shoeless.
No shoes, no jacket, and Oscar is like, aren't you cold? And like essentially they say like, I forgot how to be cold. I was like, that's a spooky thing to say. Oscar's just like,
look,
shrug.
I get it. As somebody that's worked in freezers and coolers as long as I have. Like, I get it.
Yeah. And so Oscar's like, here, you can, like, this is how you do the Rubik's Cube. You can keep it, give it back to me within 2 days. No longer. And Eli's like, all right. Also, their eyes are all weird. They do this, like, the weird thing with the eyes where they kind of, like, look really big. Sometimes they're cat-like. Sometimes they glow in a really weird way. So, like, it just adds to, like, the weird, like, uncanny valley situation of it, essentially. And then later, this is when we see Eli attack the friend. There's, like, this group of friends or whatever attacks him. It basically lures him underneath a bridge and is like, help, I can't walk. And he's like, oh, this poor child. Like, okay, I'll go help you. And immediately, like, sucks on his blood and then snaps his neck. As I said, the cat guy sees this happening, like, clear as day. It's nighttime, but clear as day, and it's just, like, so freaked out that he's kind of like, oh, well, this can't be real. I'm not going to say anything. Hakan has to go and get the body, dispose of the body, which is essentially just him dragging the body away and then pushing it into some water.
Yeah. Terrible.
Okay.
Terrible cover-up.
Again, I know why they have to leave town constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think he would at some point get better at this, but he doesn't. He somehow gets worse. So...
He's leaving bodies in town square. Like, I didn't think anyone would look there.
He's got a fucking jar of acid later in the movie. Like, just like, you could dispose of these bodies pretty easily with some acid. You apparently have a hookup to get acid, so...
Right. The next morning, Oscar finds the Rubik's Cube on the jungle gym, and it has been solved, and he's like, hee hee hee. He has, like, a little giggle about it. He's excited. Then later that night, they meet again and talk. So essentially it's like during the day, Oscar's getting bullied at school relentlessly. And then at night, meeting Eli and having these, like, little chats, and they're just becoming fast friends. And it's very cute. This is when they finally have a talk about, like, how old they are. And Eli says that they are 12, more or less. And Oscar's like, what does that mean? Well, they've been 12 for a long time. Again, ringing any bells? Twilight? How long have you been? 17 or whatever the fuck. And
yeah, I assume Renesmee is just a take on this kid.
I mean, actually, pretty much, yeah. Oscar asks when their birthday is, and they don't know, and he's just kind of like, well, that's really sad. Like, you don't get birthday presents, you don't celebrate your birthday. Like, what is going on with you, or whatever? You don't go to school either. Then they talk about the Rubik's Cube some more. At school, Owen. Why?
Yeah, sure.
Why did I say Owen? Oscar.
Owen, Oscar. Very Swedish names, both.
Oscar finds a book on how to do Morse code and writes down the code to give a copy to Eli so that they can Morse code through the wall, which is so cute. The bullies, though, also weird because, like, the teacher is like, okay, you guys can go home now, dismisses everybody, and Oscar's still there, and then she just, like, leaves. Everybody leaves the building, and it's just, like, night out, and Oscar's just, like, in the school by himself.
Yeah.
Seems weird.
So that's some good adulting from these teachers.
Literally, yeah. Nobody gives a shit at all. And the bullies, though, have waited for him, and when he comes out, the Connie is like, what were you copying down? Let me see it. And Oscar's just like, no. And then Connie makes these other boys, like, hit him with a switch, and one of the boys, like, very obviously doesn't want to do it and is, like, crying as he's hitting him. But then one of them, but, you know, for Oscar's credit, he just, like, stands there and, like, doesn't react to being, like, literally switched in the face. And they're like, oh no, he's gonna tell his mom, and they all scatter or whatever. He doesn't tell his mom. He just says he fell playing at school, and his mom is just like, oh, you silly, clumsy child, right?
I'm just assuming that I went to a school that didn't have bullies like this, because every piece of media has bullies that are the most insane people ever.
Like murder level insane.
Yeah, they're all like, hey, I'm gonna drown you in this frozen lake. And my school was just like, hey, I'm gonna push you into a locker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We didn't really have bullies at my school either. Like, obviously people would say things about other people or like spread rumors, but I don't recall there being like physical
things.
I'm
gonna carve my name into your stomach.
Yeah, hitting somebody in the face or leg with a switch, like, but, you know, I didn't live somewhere where it was snowing all the time, so maybe that's...
If you went to a school where people were constantly threatening to push people into a frozen lake, let us know.
Yeah, I'd like to know, too, if that's typical, because...
I want to avoid wherever you went to school.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I find that like really crazy because yeah, you're right. We've talked about this like multiple times where there's been like literally murderous children like situations happening. But I did start watching this show. It's very trashy though. It's called Mean Girl Murders, and it's basically a documentary about like quote unquote mean girl situations, and it's like unfortunately usually like high school or fresh college age kids being murdered over like the pettiest shit. So I don't know, I guess it is. I mean, it does happen.
I know it happens. There's like a story this week about like some fucking rich jock kid that him and his friends like beat to death some kid because he fought back when they stole his necklace, and then like texted friends about like, oops, I guess I didn't know my own strength.
Jesus,
so, like shit like that.
Gross.
Like I know things like that happen, but like I don't like. It's just like it seems like every movie or TV show makes it just seem like this is the baseline of bullying.
Well,
this was not at all my experience as someone that was also bullied. Like this was like, I don't know. I wasn't like hit with fucking sticks and threatened to be pushed into a frozen lake or like
drowned.
Yeah, like it's just I don't know. Every time I see these things, I'm like, I don't like. I guess I was lucky. I don't know if this is like a lot of people's experiences or what, or if like it's just every storyteller feels they have to like amp it up a little bit.
Yeah, and this one specifically to me is like they're 12. Like, why does he have a knife? You know what I mean? But I don't know, like there was a story recently, of course, I think in Florida, of like a 10-year-old who like sold like their parents' gun and a bunch of weed to like somebody else, and I'm just like,
I mean, like
I don't know.
The fucking vast difference in the way like everything is from 2008 to now. Like, like I look at this now and I'm like, yeah, of course this kid has a knife.
Yeah, I mean, it started with Degrassi, you know.
Yeah, Drake got shot, put in a wheelchair.
Yep, there was another kid who literally got stabbed and killed.
That show is fucking insane.
He had a baby on the way. Okay, so that's like literally I was watching that show when I was growing up, and I was like still very much mostly high school age, and I was just like, damn, people like, no, none of that stuff happened at my school, but I don't know. I guess now I'm just like thinking I'm lucky about that. Okay. Yeah. So that night, Oscar teaches Eli the Morse code and admits, you know, they're like, what happened to your face? Oscar admits that he's been getting bullied and that there's like multiple of them. And Eli says, like, listen, you just need to hit back harder than them, and then they won't bother you anymore. And Oscar is just like, well, what if it doesn't work? And then they say, then I'll help you. And then they put their hand on Oscar's, and it's very sweet. Like, don't worry, I'll literally decapitate somebody for you.
I will.
You're my bestie.
Fly them across a pool.
I will kill a bunch of children. No worries. Just give it a go first, all right? Then there is this scene that just kind of like is like furthering the vampire lore, sort of, where Oscar buys some candy, and Eli's like, I don't really want to try it, but then does because Oscar's obviously disappointed, and then it immediately makes them throw up, and Oscar hugs them, and they kind of like have this. This is the first time they have this kind of conversation where Eli asks if Owen likes them, and he says, "Yeah, I like you a lot."
Oscar.
And then they. Sorry, what did I
Owen.
say? Did I say Owen again? What the? Where is Owen? I literally don't even know anybody named Owen.
Are you talking to Owen Wilson right now?
I must be.
Oh my god!
What if?
Hear me out.
What if it was
Owen Wilson in the room with you?
Sequel to this movie where they're adults and Owen Wilson's playing Oscar.
Yeah, perfect.
I'd believe
Drew
it.
Barrymore.
I'd believe it. Yeah.
Elliot.
Let the right one out.
Oh my god. Yes.
Adam Sandler's let the right one in.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. The visualization now of Owen Wilson stabbing a tree and telling it to squeal like a piggy.
I want that movie so bad.
Oscar says, yes, I like you a lot. And Eli is just like, even if I wasn't a girl. And Oscar's just like, sure, I guess. Like, I don't know even what you're talking about. Then Oscar goes to stay with his dad, and they have fun.
Do they? Great. I can't tell if he likes his dad or not.
Well,
is this the scene where like the dude shows up?
No,
or is that
no, that's later.
That scene baffling to me.
Yeah. This is just a scene where he goes like sledding with his dad, and he's like, yeah, hee, and he's like has fun or whatever.
There's a couple scenes in this movie that I'm like, I guess this is something that happened in the book that maybe is explained better in the book than like what is like put on film. And I feel like some of the stuff with the dad is like that. Yeah,
so we'll get to that scene because it's strange. Okay, so this is the scene where basically like Hot Dog is telling Eli that he's gonna go like get some more blood, and he's like, "Oh, yep." He's like, I can't, like, people know that I live with you now, so like I can't have them identifying me. And this was when he holds up the glass of acid, and so what he decides to do is go to a gym where there's a bunch of teenagers playing basketball. Then he goes in, like, I guess he thinks everyone's left, and so he follows this one to a storage closet, you know, like hits him, ties him up or whatever, and is like getting ready to like take the blood from him. But then like the guy's friends are like, where are you? What are you doing? And are like literally break into the room. The guy's like, help, because like he's still alive. And this is when Haken is like still in the room when the kids like break in and like catch him, and so he's just like
pours acid all over his face.
Pours acid on half of his face for Eli. Okay.
Yeah.
And essentially, like, he's doing it so that, like, when he gets arrested, the cops can't identify him and trace him back to Eli. So that's what's, like, going on here, which just...
Dummies should learn how fingerprints work.
See, well, and I'm thinking, like, okay, this is... So that was my thought when he left the jug behind, but this takes place in the 80s, and it's also, like, a kind of...
fair.
Yeah, this is also
no one had fingerprints
like,
then.
Yeah.
No, not yet. Fingerprints didn't grow in until
they weren't
91. So yeah, fingerprints weren't invented. And it's also kind of like a smaller town. Like, we don't ever see any police activity except for when some random cop comes to talk to Oscar's class about like a fire murder, and then he's like, I'm going to talk to you about drugs. So like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the cops really are even able to do that great of a job.
Yeah.
You know,
not surprising.
Right. So
I saw someone refer to cops today as professional Candy Crush players, and I was like, yep. The only way I'm going to refer to them from now on.
I love it. So yeah, I just am like weird, just half of his face, and he was like, yeah, whatever. So, and then he just like doesn't show up at home, right? Because the cops arrest him and take him to the hospital because of the acid burns. Eli hears the news report about somebody trying to kill a teenager and then being taken to the hospital, knows that he had the acid, so it was like, oh shit, okay. So goes to the hospital, walks into the hospital barefoot and is like, hey, my dad's here. And the receptionist is like, okay, what's his name? And they're just like, I don't know.
The one the cops brought in?
Yeah, and so she's like, oh, well, he's on the 7th floor, but it's restricted, so I can call for you if you want. And Eli's like, no, that's okay, leaves. I really like this scene, again, because, like, a lot of the vampire stuff in this movie is, like, pretty downplayed in a way that I really like. So the nurse, like, runs after them, again, because it appears to be a 12-year-old not wearing any shoes in the wintertime. And like walks out into the parking lot, like looks around and doesn't see them because they're just climbing up the side of the building in the background. I was like, all right, I'm here for it.
I like that scene.
Yeah. So climbs up to the 7th floor, finds the window to where Haken is and is like, can I come in? And he's like, no. He just opens the window instead. And somehow they're able to communicate that, like, he's like, I'm not really gonna make it, I'll sacrifice myself so that you can feed. And Eli feeds off of him and we see his gross face, and then his body falls out the window and hits the ground.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
His body falling out and like neck and head first hitting the awning.
There was a thing I was reading about, like the sound design for the movie. And like stuff like, you know, like they were like to do the sound for like vampire bites, they just had like someone like bite into sausage, and like the blood drinking was someone like just slurping yogurt and shit, and like
slurping a sausage.
Like the sound design of this movie, yeah.
no,
all sausage based, all sausage based sound effects.
The body hitting the ground is somebody just falling from
a bag of sausages,
just falling while eating a sausage. I don't know, the sound design in this movie, like, is pretty great.
Yeah, it is good. Sausage based. Oh my god.
The acid?
Okay.
They're pouring acid on a sausage.
It's just the sound of sausage, like, cooking.
Sausage sizzling in a pan. Yeah. Okay. So, having just basically killed their caretaker, Eli goes to Owen's window and is like tapping on it. God damn it.
What is going on?
I don't know.
Who is this Phantom Owen?
I don't know. It's just
so Owen is the name of the kid in the remake. I wonder if you read that or something and just saw, and it just like lodged in your brain.
Stuck in your brain.
I don't think so, but that's a weird coincidence.
It's Owen and Abby in the remake.
I don't like that.
We're going to do the remake, and she's going to start calling Owen Oscar.
Oscar, probably. Wow, weird. What a weird. Goes to Oscar's window and is like, tap, tap, tap,
Owen.
Can I come in? Do not.
I'll do it every time she does it the wrong way, and every time she does it right.
Let the right one in, Owen or Oscar. You decide.
That's what the titles are really referring to.
Literally. Okay.
Choose like, Oscar or Owen.
You gotta pick. Oscar is like, yeah, sure, come in. The window magically immediately unlocks, and basically Eli is like, oh, close your eyes, like takes their clothes off and gets in bed with Oscar, and Oscar is just like, hey, do you want to go steady with me? And they're like, okay, I'm not a girl though, and Oscar's just like, I don't care, do you want to go steady?
So good.
And Eli's essentially just like, obviously doesn't know what that means, right? But it's just like, I don't want anything to change between us. Like, I want our friendship to stay the same. And then Oscar's just like, it will stay the same. Like, nothing will change. And then they're just like, okay, sure, let's go study. And Oscar just has this like smile on his face. It's like so wholesome for how scary he is beneath, if you ask me.
Again, definitely a skilled house cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, yes. Okay, so meanwhile, at the next day at school, they're on a field trip, which is seems really dangerous. They just take a bunch of children to ice skate on a frozen lake.
Alrighty. Fuck? Surely that's frowned upon by many adults.
Yeah,
you would think so.
Not in countries where it's probably snowing all the time.
Yeah, and again, it was the 80s, so more, way more hands off.
Melted lakes hadn't been invented yet either.
Yeah.
That's right. In fact, one of the teachers tells two of the children that have to pee just to like go pee behind a tree, like in full view of everybody else. So the scene earlier where Eli killed the guy and then Hawken had to go dispose of his body and all he did was dump him in water. He had this like long pole that he was using just to kind of like push the body farther into
just
is
like
that literally
the pole
poking
that fucking
the body.
Oscar gets?
Yes.
Oh, I've never put that together before.
Yeah. So he is like using this pole to just kind of like poke the dead body farther into the water or whatever. He leaves it there. Oscar finds it and essentially has the words echoing in his head of like, if you hit back harder to the bullies, they won't bully you anymore. So Oscar has, is getting like the bullies kind of like are walking up to Oscar. He has the pole, the rod or whatever, and Connie's just like, what are you doing with that? I'm gonna push you in the lake, and like saying whatever bullshit he's saying, and Oscar just fucking beams him in the side of the head with
right in the ear.
The sound of which I assume was a sausage hitting somebody in the ear.
Somebody punched
the sound
sausage.
of the rod hitting him in the head, and then there's just like a split second of like silence before Connie starts screaming is like so good, and he just like drops to the ground, and a teacher comes over and is like, what's going on? Meanwhile, the two kids that the teacher told to just go pee over yonder have found the dead body that Hawken pushed into the water. It's now just like partly frozen in that like open hole or whatever. So that's why the pole was there also. It's this guy's body. They also, and again, because like there are scenes that happen outside of Oscar, which is mostly just like that one group of friends getting together and talking about how like that one guy's dead or whatever. But they don't really do anything, and we don't really see, aside from like Oscar overhearing news reports, we don't see anything going on or out. Like, so they basically show a scene of like the police like chainsawing the guy's body out and like lifting it with a crane, and it's just like his body in ice or whatever, but then like nothing else happens with that because it's just like Oscar's like not paying attention to it, I guess is the point. So basically when Oscar gets home, his mom is like on the phone with his dad being like, your son hit this kid in the head and I don't want to deal with it. You need to talk to him because you're his dad and you should be like, what should I just say? His dad's not here. And I'm like, well, no, you guys are clearly separated. So no, he's not there. Like, what are you talking about? But anyways, the whole scene is kind of just to, again, reinforce that the parents are not paying attention to him because she's like, here, I'm not going to deal with your behavior. Talk to your dad. He gets on the phone with his dad and he's just like, hey, did you fix the bike? And they just have like a normal conversation that is not about how he hit that kid in the head and busted his ear open. And now the kid is like half deaf.
Good.
So, I mean, but you'd think there would be more of a conversation, but that's like literally the end of it, right?
Eh.
I will also point out, so earlier in the movie, once Oscar decides that he's going to fight back, he has joined this like after school program of quote unquote lifting weights, which is him really, I mean, like obviously he's a 12-year-old boy, so the weightlifting is not very effective, but there's also this like part of it where they go swimming, and every single time Oscar is in the pool, he's like drinking pool water and spitting it back out, and I'm like,
his mouth is
Sir.
entirely too big and open every time he's in the pool.
He fucking loves it, which again, like, that is very much like a little kid behavior, right? And so it kind of like he's just doing himself, but I'm not here for it. Drinking pool water. So after that, and like Eli's there too, watching him swim, I guess, just like watching after him or whatever. Oscar takes them to this like room where the cool older kids hang out, that basically just has like a bunch of chairs and like a record player.
Oh yeah.
And they're basically just like talking. Oscar tells them about how he hit that kid in the head and like beat up his bully or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. Like, good job." Like, and then was kind of just like, "Well, what are we supposed to be doing down here or whatever?" Oscar decides that he wants to do a blood pack, which is that thing where you both cut your hands or whatever and then commingle your blood, which used to be a really big thing, I feel like, in TV shows for kids to do.
Not many blood packs these days.
No, which is great.
Sad.
That's not a thing that
Very sad.
No, I don't do that. But obviously hasn't totally realized that Eli is like a vampire yet. So cuts his hand and it's just like bleeding all over the place. And is like, "Hey, you don't have to. You can just like prick your finger. Like, let's do this blood pack or whatever." And they're basically like foaming at the mouth for the blood because they haven't really been having any since. Although I feel like they've been doing better than before because, like we said, the caretaker did not do anything essentially. Climbs over and is like licking blood off the floor, making some crazy noises also, and looks up and is like kind of all crazy looking. It was like, get away from me, but then runs away. And Oscar is like, what the fuck? Like, kind of upset about the situation because he doesn't really understand like
he was gonna
what
keep
just
that
happened.
Blood.
That was mine.
Yeah, like that was clearly his blood.
So Eli runs away and ends up attacking a woman named Virginia, who is a part of that friend group of the guy under the bridge who died. And basically, like, she's getting attacked. Eli's drinking the blood or whatever, and that woman's boyfriend comes running up because they had gotten in an argument and he was like chasing her or whatever, sees the attack, kicks Eli off of her, and so she basically survives this attack. But the next morning when she wakes up, she realizes that she is like really sensitive to light and is like, what the fuck? And she's also like attracted to the scent of blood. And she's like, okay, this is kind of weird. Later that night, this is where she goes to the cat guy's house and gets attacked by all the cats because the cats, she's a creature of the night, an evil creature of the night now, and the cats do not like her. She gets attacked by the cats, like, to the point where they're clinging to her. She rolls down the stairs with the cats on her and, like, ends up getting, like, rushed to the hospital because of this situation or whatever. The night after, I think Eli has spent the night with Oscar or whatever, leaves a note that says, "I must be gone and live or stay and die." That's what the note says.
I'm gonna look it up. There was, one of the trivia things was like had like a what is the more correct
accurate
like
transmission.
let me see if I can find it real quick.
Okay. Because like when Oscar first sees the note, it's not translated to us. This is like later when we see the note again, and it's quote unquote translated.
It's to flee is life, to linger is death. Yours, Ellie.
Okay, that's
rips.
better.
That's so much harder. Better.
Yeah, because I will say too, like this movie weirdly has, if you watch it on Tubi at least, has the subtitles built in for you. So if you have subtitles turned on Tubi, there's double subtitles.
Prime was the same way, and I had to turn them off.
Yeah,
subtitles.
Yeah, so like literally, do your subtitles need subtitles? We gotcha.
Yeah, you can just watch them on top of each
words
other,
on words on words.
Right, exactly. So, all that to say, like, I was kind of assuming it wasn't like the best translation, but either way, very good. That's way better. So right, and so at this point, there's not really much context behind it. I guess there doesn't really need to be after the scene where Eli was lapping blood off the ground or whatever. Oscar goes to Eli's apartment and is like, literally just outright is like, "Are you a vampire?" And they're like, "I mean, I need blood to survive," and they kind of like have this like little back and forth. And for most parts of it, Oscar is like really fine with the fact that they're a vampire. The thing that they don't like is like they have this like whole thing where Oscar is like, "Are you poor?" Because like I said, there's nothing in the apartment. And Eli is just kind of like, well, like, look, here's this fucking solid gold this orb that's gold and like all of this stuff. It starts to bother Oscar when he sees that there's like all of these rings that they've collected from like victims and money and stuff. Eli tries to give Oscar money, and he's like, "No, like, didn't you steal this from the people that you killed or whatever?" And for some reason is like mad about that aspect of it. And he's kind of like mean and just like is like, "I don't want this money. See you later." Okay. He's kind of like, I don't know. He's just kind of like a jerk about it. At the hospital, Virginia basically, like the night before, talked to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend.
Nailed it.
What is happening? Her boyfriend, and is like, "That child that attacked me poisoned me, like infected me, and I want to die." And he's just like, "Okay, it's fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it." So the next morning, at the hospital, the attendant comes in to basically like draw blood and do some tests or whatever. And she says like, "Can you please open the blinds?" And he's like, "All right, sure." So he does it. She bursts into flames.
Oh god, this fucking fire stunt. It's so good.
That's one of the things that I like about this movie so much too, is that there's not a lot of intense things that happen, but when there are, they're so sudden that you like don't expect it, and it just like makes it all that much better. Yeah, she just bursts into flames, and of course the attendant is like, oh my god, what? So okay, so this is a scene where after Oscar has been kind of like incensed about the stolen money or whatever, storms home. They haven't been talking. So Eli goes over to Oscar's house and is like, "Can I come in? You have to let me in, or you have to invite me in." And he's just like, "Well, what happens if I don't?" Being kind of like bratty about it. And he's like, come on, like demanding.
He does this awful like
snap knock
clacking sound while he's like motioning her in, like doing "come here" with his fingers.
Yeah, like a cat.
I hated it so much.
Like, what a piece of shit, to be honest with you. And so they walk in and they're just like kind of standing there normal for a little bit, and then they start going like and just like bleeding from random places. From their eyes, random, like their ears, random spots of blood. And then this is where Oscar kind of like is like, "Oh my god, like no, you're allowed in, you're allowed in. I'm sorry.
I feel like that's the only time I've ever seen that like portrayed on film.
Yeah, I would agree. Usually, because usually the situation's either they can't come in and they don't, or they're allowed in, so it's fine. Like, yeah, I've never seen it either. So, Oscar's just like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, oh man, didn't mean to hurt you. And this is when they kind of have a conversation about how like we're very similar, except like I know, like I have to kill to survive, and I know that you want to kill, but you just haven't yet. So like,
Be like me.
be like me. Yeah, essentially be like me for a little bit. And Oscar's kind of like, I don't really know. I don't know what you're talking about. And then they're like, I literally saw you like intimidating and stabbing a tree. Like I know secretly you want to kill things.
Like I know you're
So
a fucking weirdo.
literally, I found your stash of true crime clippings under the floor and your knife. So just give it up. I know that you're wanting to kill things. And this is the scene we were talking about where like they're completely covered in blood, having just spontaneously started bleeding. So they like go into another room to change, and this is where Oscar like peeps on them and sees that like essentially, yeah, like anatomically they are factually not a girl. And this is when Oscar like kind of sees this for the first time, and is still kind of just like, oh well, that was oh, it's fine, right? You know?
Yeah, I mean, pansexual
it's
icon Oscar or Owen, whichever you prefer.
Right, like literally. So this is when Oscar spends the night in Eli's apartment, and in the morning, like I feel like there's not a lot of context for this except for the fact that like I think his name is Locke or Loke or something like that. He's the one that's like, oh, this guy moved in, he's got a kid, he's all weird, should I like invite him over or whatever? And then the other guy dies, and he puts it together when that guy stopped showing up that he's the one that was taken to the hospital, and he's like, oh, okay, probably the kid is the one that did this to Virginia. So he's like put it together right behind the scenes essentially that Eli's the one that's responsible for this. So he basically just like shows up at the apartment and breaks in and finds them basically sleeping. It's daytime now. Finds them sleeping in the bathtub, like covered with a bunch of sheets. And he pulls the sheets and is about to basically kill them when Oscar, who, like I said, was sleeping in the apartment, shows up and is like, hey, and like pulls his knife or whatever. And so that causes Eli to wake up and essentially eat him. He gets him. sucks him down. And then after like the attack or whatever, Eli hugs Oscar and is basically just like, thank you for saving my life. But now I really have to go.
It gives him a nice bloody kiss.
Gives him a nice sloppy sausagey kiss. And the scene is like so sad because once Eli is like, I have to, like, I literally have to go. Like, I have to go far away. I cannot stay here. It's not safe. They start playing this, like, really sad music, and the look on both of their faces is just, like, devastated, and it's so sad. I was like, no, besties, we're alive. Because that night, Oscar looks out his window and sees a taxi leaving, goes into the apartment, and now it's completely empty except for, like, the one table that had all the trinkets on it or whatever, and is like, okay, like, Eli is actually gone. This is when Oscar goes back to his apartment. He gets a call from a classmate. It is actually one of the bullies about coming to the swim practice that night, and he's just like, what? Why are you calling me? And the classmate is like, oh, the coach wanted you to be here. Like, are you coming? And he's like, okay, sure, I guess. I want to talk about their gym outfits also because, like, I know it was the 80s, but they're wearing these huge fucking puffy, like, tracksuit, or, not tracksuit, but, like, snowsuit type shorts, but then, like, very tight V-neck shirts.
Yeah, it's called fashion.
I was like, what is going on here? All they need is the tube socks.
I'm gonna start dressing like
V-necks,
this.
V-necks on children, I think, is not the move, if you're asking me. um, okay, so Oscar shows up to practice, and basically we're finding out that the bullies are setting Oscar up to be alone because they like set fire. I don't know if they set fire to the guy's car.
No, they just like, I think it's like a trash can or dumpster or something, but yeah, they just start a fire.
And so they're like, oh, fire, fire. So the coach has to leave, and the bullies come in. So it's Connie and the two other boys, and Connie's older brother, who, of course, is like the real psychopath here because he's brought a knife. And Oscar, of course, is in the pool drinking pool water again, as he does. And the lead bully comes in and is basically just like, pulls out the knife, and he's like, do you know who I am? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, I'm going to give you some options. If you can hold your breath underwater for 3 minutes, then I'm just going to kick you a little bit.
No, he says, I'm going to nick you.
Jesus.
Oh, I thought you said kick.
No, he says, I'm going to nick you, and if you can't do it for 3 minutes...
I'm going to poke your eye out.
Yeah, I'm going to poke your eye out.
Like, with the knife. I'm going to poke your eye out with a knife. And, also, one of the kids kicks the boombox into the water, which...
Well, yeah, the kid that, like, the younger brother does.
Yeah. The thing that I thought was, like, so weird about this scene, though... Oh, I did totally miss the scene with the dad and the guy because it was, like, very weird. I think that they were just trying to show that the dad was, like, in a relationship with that guy.
That's what I thought, but they don't make it clear. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe the book explains it more. But...
So what I took from that scene was that, like, Oscar and his dad are, like, having a fun time or whatever. That guy shows up wearing sandals and socks through the snow, which to me means that, like, he was, like, close by and coming to stay. Like, you're not wearing sandals around in the snow, right? And there's, like, this weird thing because, like, I don't know if maybe it's not made clear to Oscar about their relationship because the guy is just like, oh, hey, look who's here. Oscar's here. Oh, okay. And then the dad immediately, like, stops paying attention to Oscar when the guy comes and they start, like, drinking or whatever. So I think that's, like, kind of what they were getting at. But anyways, back to this scene that I think is very strange. The way that they make sure that Oscar's alone in the pool is that they have the one boy go up to the edge of the water and just, like, dance in place to this, like, music, and Oscar's like, yay, and he's, like, really into it, and I was like, what is going on here?
Well, I think it's like the kid is supposed to be, like, continuing whatever exercise he's supposed to be doing.
Oh, he looked like he was dancing in place, and I was like, what?
No, Oscar, I think he's supposed, because, like, the fucking teacher just has, like, Oscar just, like, marching in place in the pool or whatever.
You know, those good exercises for weightlifting. So yeah, the other kid, the Connie, who is, like, half deaf now, kicks. And it is interesting because you do get the scene too of, like, obviously we know now, having been more familiar with bullies, is that a lot of time the bully has some kind of issues, usually at home, or, like, something going on behind the scenes that makes them a bully. There's, like, this small scene where the brother comes to school to get keys, to get his younger brother's keys, and he is, like, fake wrestling with him, but like being like, oh, what are you, deaf in the other ear now too? Like, the older brother is definitely bullying the younger brother too, and so obviously you see that trickle down. But Oscar realizes with him showing up that, like, this is actually serious. Like, he's the real psycho here. So yeah, he says, hold your breath for 3 minutes. I'll just nick you, apparently, instead of kick. I like kick better. I don't want anyone to get nicked with a knife. But if you can, I'll poke your fucking eye out, right? And Oscar is like, well, that's impossible to, like, hold your breath for 3 minutes. And he's like, well, guess you better try. So he tells Oscar to come closer to him, which he does. And in my mind, I'm like, I feel like I just would have stayed farther away from him, but it is what it is. So So he pushes Oscar's head down into the water, and there's this like kind of drawn out scene of Oscar holding his breath. The guy is like holding his head down, and it's like very silent because all of the boys are watching him as well as like watching the clock. So it's kind of like drawn out in that aspect. And then all of a sudden you just see like legs
feet kicking
in the water.
Rocks that just go like skittering across the water and shit.
Yeah, and then back behind into the back of the scene in the pool, and then up, and then you just see a severed head fall into the pool.
It's so good.
I literally, my jaw dropped. Because at this point, if you have no context to the movie, you think, like, what do you even, like you really are stressed for Oscar because you think Eli is gone. And they're not coming back, right? And you're like, well, what do you, like, what's even going to happen? And I'm telling you, the last thing I expected was a decapitated child head in a pool. That is for sure.
It, like, I texted you, like, I've seen this movie so many times, and, like, still, like, the last 20 minutes or so, like, are so fucking, like, make me so anxious. And I know what happens. Like,
yeah.
Like, I know the ending, but, like, everything leading up to this is, like, makes just like fills me with dread. But then like, yeah, like you see just like, I'm guessing maybe the bullies. No, I don't know whose feet go like skittering across the water. And then you're like, and like there's just like all of this like muffled underwater like sound happening. And like, it's just so well done. And then by the time you just see like the severed arm that's holding Oscar underwater just like dip in, and then like, you know, Ellie's hand to like pull him out. It's so good.
And there's like this moment where Oscar obviously doesn't know what's happening, so when he comes out of the water, he's still got his eyes closed because he's literally expecting to like get his eye stabbed out or whatever. And so he finally opens them, and there's just like this close up of like Ellie's eyes essentially looking all crazy, and they smile at him. And then it pulls back, and there's just this like long shot of like the dead children around
just, like,
the pool.
The one kid still sitting on the bleachers, like covering his eyes.
Yeah, crazy.
I need to know what the rest of that kid's life is like. Luke Wilson could play him.
Yeah, there you go. Probably not good.
Or that kid has become the most well-behaved person on Earth.
I was gonna say, and because that was the kid too that was like originally doing like hitting Oscar with the switch and like crying while doing it, so it was like very obvious that he did not want to be having any part in this. So yeah, I think so. So then we just get this like shot of the snow, and then it switches immediately to a train car where Oscar is sitting next to a huge cardboard box that he is tapping Morse code onto.
Is it a cardboard box, or is it like I always thought it was just like a chest or whatever.
I could be wrong, but it looked like a cardboard box to me.
You know what he's tapping?
Small kiss.
P-U-S-S.
Which means small kiss.
Yeah, which is kiss in fucking Swedish, apparently.
Yeah. Gross.
Don't like it.
But it's sweet. So essentially, yeah, like the inference there is that
he's now her
Oscar has now
caretaker.
Which I don't know. I still think Oscar
not ideal.
No, but I feel like Oscar as a 12-year-old child can probably do a better job than Hot Potato did.
Yeah, but where are they gonna fucking live?
I don't know how. Well, and Eli very obviously has money, so like they can. I think that the whole thing here is that like they can take care of each other in a world where like that's pretty much all they have, because the adults just are literally fucking idiots who don't notice or care about anything. But anyways, that's the movie, and it's very, very good.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it and we still spoiled it for you, please go see it.
Watch it anyway.
Watch it anyway.
Every movie we've covered for these, like, everything from, like, 291 forward to 300, I would say watch, even if they're spoiled for you.
Yeah, it's so worth it. I will, by the time we record next, did we say the remake is streaming somewhere? Definitively?
I feel like it was
Did you say
on
Hoopla?
Max, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Max. No, something else was
Okay.
on Hoopla that we talked about. I don't remember what.
Oh, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I'll watch the remake and just see, and then I'm also going to reread the book. But
The
yeah.
book's also on Hoopla. Just not the
Oh, is
audiobook,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, I feel like the movie, from what I remember, has like some pretty big differences in that it's kind of like obviously based on the book, but kind of a standalone thing. And I think that this is one of the best examples of like a movie adaptation of a book that I can think of. Um,
I feel like we talked about this recently, like book
we did a
adaptations.
Q&A,
Is that what it
yeah,
was?
and I don't remember if I brought this one
Oh,
up,
no, I
but
think we were discussing, like, I think we went, like, what movies are better than the book and, like, vice versa. Because I remember talking about Fight Club being better than the book.
mm,
Yeah, it's a banger. This movie rocks.
so good, very good.
All right. I didn't look up news. Let's see if there's anything at all worth talking about. Hey, do you guys know it's April Fool's Day?
What?
Oh,
And
wow.
apparently,
in spite of that, the Sonic the Hedgehog inspired IHOP menu is real.
I'm sorry. You're gonna have to
That's
elaborate
a real
on that.
thing.
I didn't know it could have been a fake thing.
Is there another Sonic movie coming out soon?
I don't know. I don't know why they would go with IHOP instead of Sonic.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
for real.
I'm pretty sure there's a third one coming out this year, if it's not
Or at
already
least
out.
the TV show. They're doing the Knuckles TV show, right?
Oh, yeah.
Apparently Scream 7 is bringing back every single Legacy cast member to cover up or
Woof.
distract people from firing somebody for being pro-Palestine. Don Mancini has confirmed a new Chucky movie in the works. I'm in.
Same.
So far, have let me down, so...
Okay.
That's probably about it.
I want to read the IHOP menu. We've got the Tails 2x2x2, which is like their 2-egg breakfast, essentially. We've got Sonic's Blue Blur Special, double blueberry pancakes. Delicious. We got Knuckles Chicken Sandwich. Love it. Dr. Eggman's Benedict, which is just a Benedict, obviously, Eggs Benedict. Amy's Sweet Strawberry Delight, which is a strawberry waffle sundae, and Shadow's Chaos Chocolate Pancakes, which is just chocolate chip pancakes.
Why would you release that information on April Fool's Day?
I don't know. I also feel like they should have hired me because I feel like I could have came up with. I do like the Knuckles chicken sandwich. It had to be a sandwich, right? But let's see.
I can't eat any of it, so do not care.
Yeah.
And it's not the goth IHOP, so also don't care.
I didn't know there was a goth IHOP.
Yeah, there's an IHOP that's entirely staffed by goth girls.
Oh, goth IHOP. That's
Or maybe
hilarious.
it's just a meme. I think it's real. I don't know.
I hope it's real.
Let's see. Goth IHOP refers to a series of memes exploring the concept of an IHOP restaurant with gothic themes, inspired by femboy Hooters.
It seems like it started as a meme and now is like real. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna go to Goth IHOP and figure it out.
Okay, let me know. I'm sending you the picture of Goth IHOP and Tomboy. Well, it's
Femboy Hooters.
Femboy.
I think that's a real
I'm
thing.
sorry. This is Tomboy Outback.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Well, somebody did fan art of it. Real bros share. Okay. Gains for days. Don't give it up. Okay. Wow. Woof. Anyways, anything else?
No. All the other news is dumb.
Yeah, I kind of stopped paying attention to it.
All right. What you watch this week, Katie?
Wow. I think I really only watch, like, obviously we're still watching through X-Files. I think the only other thing I've watched was that Mean Girl Murders show. I feel like I watched a documentary also, but I can't remember what it was. So, like, pretty much nothing. Well, I started playing. I started a new farm in Stardew Valley, so that's like pretty much been my only thing.
All right, what about you, Kit?
A couple hours ago, I saw Godzilla X Kong, which is a stupid name, but pretty good.
They kiss in it.
I wish.
When are they gonna give that to us?
Hopefully the third one.
Yeah.
The third one's just a romance. Like,
I'm into it.
I watched The Truth versus Alex Jones, which was very good and very upsetting.
Yeah.
I watched Let the Right One In.
Oh, me too.
I watched Spectres, which is a something Vinegar Syndrome put out, like a 1987 Italian ghost movie with Donald Pleasance. That was pretty good. That's pretty much it. Been watching Survivor and fucking working. Real bad times having to go to work. Somebody make it so I don't have to do that, please. By giving me
and work
$500 million.
Yeah. Subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, we're gonna set up a $500 million Patreon option
tier.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Sign up for it. I'll drive to Twitter headquarters and punch Elon Musk.
That seems worth it to me.
All right, shout out, Katie.
I'm just gonna be lame and shout out the book version of Let the Right One In.
The one you said you don't remember most of at the moment.
Well, yeah. I remember it being good. I just can't remember most of the nuances. But yeah, I think I'm excited to reread it. I've been having like a reading slump again. So I've just been having a hard time getting into anything. So I feel like maybe rereading something is probably might be the way to go.
Pretty sure reading's just bad for you. You should just watch Survivor.
Rots your mind.
No. I mean, I love reading. I had like 2 books that I read, kind of like my first 4 books that I read this year were all either 4.5 or 5-star reads, which is like not typical. So I feel like I just read a lot of really good stuff, and then everything I've tried to read after it, I've been like, this is terrible. Not everybody should be an author, if you ask me.
Disagree.
So
pretty sure everybody that writes weird bullshit online just killing it.
Yeah, but that's different than some of the stuff that I've tried to
Everybody
read.
that could just put something on Amazon is probably worth reading.
Yeah, maybe I need to be reading more of those.
What about you, Kit?
I had it like 20 seconds ago, and it's flown out of my mind.
What was I going to shout out?
The Matrix. The Matrix just turned 25 the other day.
Wow.
Happy 25th anniversary to The Matrix, a film that still kicks insane amounts of ass.
It's a film I saw once in high school and not again since, and did not understand. Because I think I was like 15, no, 20 years ago, I would have been 22, no. 25, yeah. I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. So I would probably been like 16, 17 when that came out. Yeah, I remember watching it and being like, I don't get this.
I was 12.
Yeah, that checks out. Katie just being a weird 12-year-old vampire.
For my whole life.
My shout out is The Cure finally re-releasing and updating and remastering and all that shit. Their Live in Paris album, and it fucking rocks. Now they got I think Wild Mood Swings might be next, which I can't wait for. Highly underappreciated album. What good band. Everybody should go listen to The Cure.
Amen.
I would agree.
Just quiet under the radar band. Most people probably haven't heard of.
You probably haven't heard of
Small indie band, The Cure.
Yeah. Just a handful of albums, not a very big discography. So,
Kit, what are we watching next week?
We will be watching Annihilation.
Oh, I've seen that.
My God.
Katie apparently not thrilled.
Okay. You know what? This is fine because for reasons I think will be obvious to you, I have not watched this. So maybe it'll finally be pushing me to do it. Obviously it will. What if I just didn't watch it and I showed up and was like, I refuse. Sorry.
I'm looking at the cast, and I do not understand. I don't know what obvious reasons are.
I'm struggling to think of obvious reasons.
You were talking about the Southern Reach movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's based off of a trilogy of books called the Southern Reach trilogy, which I love. It's like one of my favorite trilogy of books ever. And I don't know how, and it's also like have you read them, Kit?
So funny enough, I watched Annihilation first, and I was like, I should read the Southern Reach trilogy, and I read the first book, and I fucking hated it. So
interesting. Yeah. It is very bizarre, and I struggle to even comprehend how somebody would make it a movie, which is why I just never bothered. I loved them. It's a difficult read.
It's one of those. I'll say it's one of those movies where it pretty liberally diverts from the book to where it's just kind of more based on the concept than anything.
Okay.
So depending on how you feel about the strictness of an adaptation, you'll either like it or hate it, I guess.
One of the reviews on Letterboxd.
If you don't mind it not going beat for beat with the book,
yeah,
it's really good.
One of the reviews on Letterboxd just says Annihilation is like if Bjork directed a remake of The Abyss, so I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, basically.
That works for me. And Benedict Wong's in it. So
hear me out, Katie. There's a cool bear.
Yeah.
I think that's literally the only thing I've ever seen from this movie. It's the fucking bear.
I think that maybe at this point, I'm maybe removed enough from it that I can just watch it as its own thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I'll be very curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I love Annihilation.
Is this prequel to Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
And Doom
Mortal Kombat. We're just doing 1995's Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. And Doom Annihilation. We already did Mortal Kombat.
We should do Doom at some point.
That's what I said. I think
whenever
I said
we get
that
back to bad movies.
One of the last times we have to do a shitty action movie, or Katie turned it into video game adaptations. But anyway, to get Doom,
we should. Yes,
we could talk about The Rock's new 2-in-1 shampoo that he released, despite not having hair.
What is it? He has skincare stuff at Target.
Yeah, and one of them's 2-in-1 shampoo.
That is very weird.
Amazing.
Killing it. Getting that bag. All right, Annihilation next week. I don't know what it's on. You guys can look it up and figure it out.
Prime. Or 4K disc if you're me.
Everyone go to Kit's house and watch it.
Yep.
Yeah, let's have a party.
Yeah.
Annihilation party.
Everybody's got to dress up as a fucked up bear.
I'm in.
You take that term as you want and use it liberally.
Yeah.
All right. If you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/hypesufferpodcast. Some sort of bonus episode this month. We're still figuring that out.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Freddie got fingered again.
No. What if we had just recorded a whole new episode about Freddie got fingered?
Kit and I are just going to do a monthly episode on Freddie got fingered where we just rewatch it and discuss it again.
Yeah.
All right, that's
every month.
Yeah.
New episodes about Freddie got fingered.
You can follow, or you can leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kitrification of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other podcast named Kid Movie Club. Yeah, don't let vampires in unless they seem cool. Then let them in.
Yeah.
Some vampires seem like real dicks, like those ones in
like most
30
of them,
Days
really.
of Night.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
You know.
Or like Antonio Banderas in Interview with a Vampire.
It could be a cool vampire like Liam Neeson in
I should have picked Interview
Dracula
with a Vampire.
Dead. Oh god, don't make me watch that again.
Oh my god, I love it.
I don't know
much.
why, but in my memory that movie's like 3 hours long.
Probably.
Oh, I don't think it's even quite 2.
It's probably
it's
not.
just under.
It just seems like so much shit happens in that movie that I feel it just feels long.
They've got a lot to cover. It's 123 minutes.
Yeah, so it's like right over 2 hours.
That's
1
minute for every year that takes place in the film. That's
yeah,
pretty good.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, we could talk about how they owned a slave plantation.
Yeah. And then the slaves burned their house down, as they should.
Very confused as to why Letterboxd has a related news thing on Interview with the Vampire about the North Woman, which I guess is maybe is fucking. Are they making a sequel or a spin-off of the Northmen?
No idea.
Not that I've heard.
Oh, maybe this is just like an article about Anna Taylor-Joy. Yeah, the North Woman,
yeah.
on didn't they put Anya Anya as her name? I don't think that's.
Yeah.
I've always seen it as.
that's her
I
name.
always thought it was Ana. Weird.
No.
It's just her.
Anya.
Apparently talking about Vikings, witches, and vampires.
Perfect.
No mention of fucking magic from New Mutants. I see.
Interesting.
Come on, podcast, Miss
Yeah.
Joy.
Miss Joy. Miss Taylor Joy.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to talk about a movie I haven't seen next week, so I'm excited to finally sit down and watch this movie that I had no interest in. I don't know why. It just like I was just like, oh, it just looks like a sci-fi movie. I don't care. But then I'm also like, I don't know, like I feel like it's one of those movies that like half the people I know either fucking love it or hate it. So
yeah, it's very polarizing. So will be interesting to see.
yeah. All right. I hope you let the right one in, and it's not Morrissey. But why?
Oof, yeah.
Don't let Morrissey in.
Yeah.
Don't let Owen in either. Apparently.
Unless it's
Yeah.
Morrison. He seems
Definitely don't
okay.
let him in.
I can't tell. I can't tell if he seems cool or not.
I think his brother seems cooler than him. We'll get
Yeah.
we'll get into that next episode for sure.
Okay.
The Owen versus Luke debate that's everyone's been asking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Our next episode with Wes Anderson.